What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. Today, your Portland Trail Blazers dominate Denver in the second half, and they win 128-109 in a game that saw them down 5 at halftime. They were down 59-54. But the Blazers rattle off, I was going to try and do quick math. They rattle off 74 points in the second half, 74 points, including 40 in the fourth quarter, as they pull away from Denver and get an impressive win, beating them by 19. The Nuggets didn't have Nikola Jokic, but they did have Jamal Murray. They did have Michael Porter Jr. They did have Aaron Gordon. The Blazers were without some guys. No Anthony Simons. No centers. Clinging out. Of course, Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton are out, but also no Jabari Walker. So the Blazers started a really interesting lineup in this game with Scoot, Sharp, Chris Murray, Tamani Kamara, and Denny Avdia. And that lineup took off in the second half. Denny Avdia, another masterful performance. He's playing like a borderline top 10 player in the league in the month of March right now with what he's doing in all facets of the game. He almost gets another 30-point triple-double. He finishes with a season-high 36 points on 12 for 16 shooting, with 8 boards, 7 assists, and 3 steals. And it's funny because after a lot of these recent Denny Avdia games, we're looking at the box score like, man, this dude scored 36 points on 16 shots. 16 shots. Like, what if he just decided to shoot 25 times? Is he scoring 50 points? Probably. Plus 27, a team high for the Blazers tonight. He was phenomenal. We're going to have you covered with the full game breakdown. Also, we're going to have the lines open in our Discord. You can call into the show in our Discord by clicking on the call-in feature. I will start that up here in a little bit, and we'll take your calls sporadically throughout the show if you want to call into the show. We'll make them quick hitters. Eric, happy Friday, man. How was your week? How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm good. Excited that we got to see another Blazer victory, Tori. And I was a little worried about the injury report, but I saw Denny was playing, and that's all we need right now, right? Because we seem to be in every game and stand a good chance as long as he's around.
Yeah, I mean, he completely changes this team. He's changed this team this year. This team has been much better when he's been healthy, much worse when he's been hurt. And right now, I love the basketball he's playing, and the efficiency is phenomenal. The three-point shooting, he's on a heater over the past 10 games or so, and he's playing like an all-star, man. And the question is, how long can he sustain it, and can he sustain it for a season? Obviously, he's not going to score 36 every night, but the player he looks like right now looks like a legitimate star in the league. It just comes down to how consistently he can do it. But right now he's consistently done it for the entire month of March, and he's why the Blazers are in a position to potentially grab a play-in spot, that 10th overall spot. Now, this was an important game for the Blazers to grab going into the night, in my opinion, because the Blazers are currently chasing both the Dallas Mavericks and Phoenix Suns for the 10th spot. They are currently 2 games behind both those teams. Those teams are tied for 10th. And both those teams were about 8.5 to 9.5 point underdogs today. And I looked at this as a night where, man, the Blazers at the end of the night could be 1 game out of the play-in if they win this game. But during the middle of this game, it became the Blazers better win this game so that they only stay 2 games back of the play-in, because not only did Phoenix control things against the Cavs, destroy the Cavs, and the Cavs were healthy. They had Garland, they had Mobley, they had Allen, they had Donovan Mitchell. The Suns were up about 20 in the second half against them, so they got a win when they were an 8.5 point underdog today. Not only did that happen, but the Dallas Mavericks somehow beat the Detroit Pistons. With all the injuries the Mavs have, they beat the Pistons. And maybe
10-point underdogs.
Yeah, maybe there's a chance Anthony Davis comes back. So this became a very important game to grab, so the Blazers did not lose a game on both those teams. And right after those games became apparent, like, the Blazers could potentially lose a game on those teams. Right after those games went final, the Blazers just go on an enormous run, and this game wasn't in doubt pretty much at all in the fourth quarter as they win 128-109. Eric, man, enjoyable game. I'll cook up some team stats here, pop them up on the screen. We can take a look at those, but just give me your initial thoughts and initial reaction to what was a pretty fun second half.
Yeah, but going back to the first half, I felt like the Blazers, they really had no business being in the game except for they completely outworked and out-hustled and just laid it all on the court effort-wise and really stayed in this game. They got down 10 multiple times in the first half and came back just with just pure effort, mostly on the offensive rebounds. I don't know how many offensive rebounds they ended up finishing with, but it seemed like they were beating Denver to every loose ball, to every rebound in that first half. And it was like they just willed themselves to stay in this game. And then in the second half, they start shooting the ball better and obviously go on a heater offensively and put Denver away. But I don't think they would have been in that position had they not just flat out played amazing effort-wise in the first half. Just like it was, I mean, we're used to like occasionally seeing the team that has good effort. You know, for years we've won a few games just because of that effort level, but tonight just seemed like a whole nother level in terms of their energy and just even though shots weren't falling, we were getting multiple opportunities, and it was really key in that first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And they played to their style. They got out. They ran a little bit there in the second half. We're not going to be able to pop the team stats up, unfortunately, because my Photoshop crashed. So it's going to be a light stream in that department, but we can read them off here. So the Blazers shoot 54% from the field. At halftime, Denver was shooting about 58%. The Blazers were shooting, oh man, I don't remember, but it definitely was a lot worse than what they ended up on. They were phenomenal in the second half, finishing through contact, got a couple and ones. Banton got one, Denny got one. I believe Sharp got one as well, and they knocked down threes, 40% of their threes. If the Blazers can make 40% of their threes, they're going to be in a lot of games. And 14 for 35, you'll take that. That's a pretty good shooting night for them. But 54% from the field, and you also get to the line 25 times, make 20 free throws, and then you also get 15 offensive rebounds. That's how the Blazers put 128 up on the board. 30 assists on 47 makes. We like that. They were moving the ball really well in this game. But then despite the lack of size that the Blazers had, they still got 64 points in the paint, which shouldn't really surprise anyone because Denver didn't really have any big men in this game. Both these teams went small due to their injuries. Denver started Aaron Gordon as their de facto center, and the Blazers started Denny Avdia, I guess, as their de facto center. But I do think it was interesting, Eric, because I've talked about this a little bit, where I want to see Denny in some small ball lineups as the 5-man because I think offensively that could be a very potent lineup. And to see that in this game and to see the Blazers score 74 points in the second half, sure, it helped because the other team didn't have much size, but also when you go small offensively and the other team has a big man in the game, that's normally a mismatch that you can attack and take advantage of. The Blazers looked phenomenal there in the second half and also had 30 points in the first quarter. Second quarter they missed some shots, 24 on the board, but this was a really good scoring night, and the Blazers looked really, really good offensively. They turned it over 17 times, but they were still able to grab some offensive boards. Uprise had another solid game there, and he did play 32 minutes, so you did have 32 minutes with center in the game, but part of the reason was because Uprise was actually quite good tonight. But with Denny at the 5, I thought it made for some interesting basketball, and you could tell that the lineup was trying to feel itself out a little bit because they weren't used to playing without a big. But I do want to see more of that wrinkle going forward. It's funny because Denny gets the start basically at the center spot and guards Aaron Gordon because the Blazers put Tamani on Jamal Murray. So Avdia gets the start of the center spot and has maybe his best game of the year, at least his highest scoring game. Is 12 for 16, 4 for 6 from 3. Looked very comfortable out there. I do think that was interesting, and I would like to see that wrinkle a little bit more going forward, especially the rest of the season, if the Blazers continue to be without Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, but the Blazers didn't get off to the greatest start, and then in the second half, restarted. So I don't know how much you can read into that being him playing center because he played a ton of center. But
I'm not reading into it.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting lineup. But yeah, you did have 32 minutes from Reith. So I do think it's an interesting coincidence, though, that Danny had such an easy scoring night. I think part of the reason was he's so physical as a driver, especially when he gets downhill to the rim, where if you are able to space the floor to the point where you don't have a big man defending the rim, or you force another team to go small, Denny's going to be able to get to the rim at will. And oftentimes you're going to need to send help Denny's way. But being 6'9" and strong and finishing well right now, that help better be a big man. That help better be a rim protector, because
And
even
they
a
didn't
help
have
they didn't have that. Even a help defender that's not a big man isn't really going to phase him. It's not going to phase him. So that's why I've been a proponent of mixing it up and playing some small ball lineups with Denny at the 5, because he can certainly rebound well for a small ball 5. We've seen some games where he has 15, 16 boards, and you look at this game tonight, every Blazer starter had multiple offensive rebounds, right? And it's not like they were bigger than the other team. They just played hard. They scrapped. They got after the glass. So, yes, it's a small sample considering Duop Reith played 32 minutes, and the Blazers did not get off to the best start, but that was their first time playing minutes with Denny as the biggest player on the floor. So I would like them to continue to explore that little wrinkle, because I do think it's a change up that they can throw at teams that could be a special lineup depending on who you have in the game with Denny when he's playing those small ball 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it's also hard because Denny's been doing this now for several weeks, and he's been playing amazing, man. And then when you have no resistance at the rim with a player like Denny, who's gonna out physical players like your favorite player, Michael Porter Trashcan. Like those when he's in the game, he's quicker than them, and also stronger than some of those guys. So there's just no one there to resist it. And then when he's hitting threes, man, that's been crazy lately how efficient he's been, and that goes between getting free throws and also hitting those threes, man. 4 for 6 again tonight. It seems like he's been cash on his threes for I don't know what he's shooting in the month of March, but feels like it's unrealistically unsustainable. But man, he's shooting it with such confidence right now, and it's just it looks pure every time it leaves his hand.
Yeah, he started off this game shooting a 3 off the dribble that was contested, a tough shot, and drained it. And it was like, oh man, all right, Denny's going to have another really hot start to this game. He had 13 points at halftime. It was actually the second half, which was good to see. It was good to see after the balance between the halves last game, where he was much better in the first half as a scorer. It was nice to see him drop 23 points in the second half to get to that 36 number. He dominated the second half, and when he's making threes like that, he's almost impossible to match up with, because, as you said, smaller guy, he's going to bully them to the rim and probably draw a foul and get and ones, and he's going to eat against smaller guys. But bigger guys, you can't really give him much space because he's making threes, and he's quick enough to beat him off the dribble, and he's crafty enough off the dribble to beat him off the dribble. So it's like you really got to have a mobile 6'8", 6'9", strong defender in order to slow him down. And I feel like we've seen him at times this year against those types of defenders have some rough moments, but that's why it'd be an interesting challenge. The Blazers have Boston coming up. Jason Tatum's, he's not the greatest defender, but he's solid, especially for being as much of the offensive engine he is for that team. Although, I mean, he's their leading scorer, but he doesn't necessarily have to waste his energy creating an isolation a whole lot. That team moves the ball really well. We're going to see that soon. But I want to see Denny matched up against, a Tatum or just a bigger wing, because that's really the only type of player you can guard him with right now. And I want to see him defended by that type of guy right now, because I kind of got the feeling he'd still cook him with the way he's playing right now. So it's really fun to watch, and it's an impossible matchup for a lot of teams to deal with him right now.
I don't know if you saw it, Tori, but Jaylen Brown's already been ruled out for the game in Portland. So we're once again having a team missing one of their best players. But so Colt did the math for after this game. I just looked up his stats going into this game. But yeah, 50% in March from three for Denny. It's crazy. If you put that kind of physicality, that kind of ability to get to the rim and cook people off the dribble, create, along with lights out shooting, dude, that is a star player. So I don't know how sustainable that. Obviously, he's not going to shoot 50% from three over like a huge sample size. But I mean, if he's like in the upper 30 percentile in terms of 3-point shooting and has all that other skill set, I mean, he's almost for sure making an all-star game at some point in his career.
Yeah.
With that kind of body of work. So, man, just this has been fun watching him break out and kind of be one of the key reasons why the Blazers are having an opportunity to be in the play-in race right now.
Yeah, this might be a silly question, but just seeing the way Denny's playing lately, it's made me wonder, what does Franz Wagner have on him? You know what I mean? Like, What can Franz Wagner do that Denny Avdia can't do? And Franz is seen as like a young and up-and-coming star, and if he didn't get hurt this year, might have made the All-Star game if Orlando was better, and has been dominant and has taken a leap this year. And people think he's a shoo-in to be, make an All-Star game at some point. But it's like, those players are kind of similar. Denny, I think, is a better three-point shooter right now and a little stronger. I think Franz is maybe a little better ball handler, maybe a little craftier, a little more creative. But I don't know, man. It's starting to make me wonder, like, do the Blazers have their Franz Wagner right now? He's young, like Franz is, big, shot-creating forward. I don't know. Chat can maybe answer that question for me, but obviously Franz is looked at a lot more. He's a lot more highly regarded right now across the league. But if Denny's taking that leap right before our eyes right now, is that who he is? Like, that caliber of guy? Because that would be really, really good for this team moving forward if he can produce like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'd say Franz is a little more like finesse, flashy, and Denny's more like
powerful,
powerful strength, which doesn't always equate to being pretty or like what people feel like is aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a different style. But yeah, it's hard to tell. But if you break down the numbers, I don't know. Like, if you give, I wonder what their usage rate is compared to each other. Because I was thinking, if Franz, they don't have the best guard play, especially Suggs has been out a lot this year. Like, Franz, obviously, when he plays, gets a lot of opportunity with the ball.
Yeah.
It feels like it's more than Denny has. So, like, if they had the same opportunities like Denny's getting in a game like this more often, I think you would definitely have that argument that Denny's better.
Yeah, so Denny's usage rate, according to Basketball Reference this year, 22.3. Franz Wagner's is 31.
Okay, yeah, see, it's quite drastically different.
But that goes right back to That goes right back to the conversation we've been having where Denny on higher usage is he a star.
Yeah.
The thing is Denny right now in the month of March on not even, I don't know what his usage is in March, but it might still be lower than Franz Wagner's on the season, and Denny's been a star caliber player in March. Right? So that's the interesting part. It's like his efficiency is a little unsustainable right now. He's on a hot stretch, right? He's not going to shoot 50% from three over the course of the season. But also, it's like, that's fine. If he's shooting 36% from three for the season, that's fine. That's still better than a guy like Franz Wagner, right? If he can score 24 points per game with a 58 true shooting, that's good, especially with the way he creates shots and the way he's getting to the free throw line right now. I think with higher usage, he's going to live at the line even more and maybe be just as efficient just through free throw volume, right? Being able to get to the free throw line, manufacture points that way. So, the efficiency is a little bit unsustainable, but it's like even in a game like this, man, he shot 16 shots and had 36 points. And it's like, man, he could have probably shot even more and nobody would have blamed him. You see some of the shots that Shaedon Sharpe took in this game and it's like, man, he starts 0 for 9 and he's still shooting transition threes like it's nothing. So that's the thing with Denny, man, is he could be even higher. He could have an even higher usage rate right now, and he's looking like a star in March. So that's the fun thing and that's why I liked picking up Avdia, because he's a really good role player, but he has that sneaky upside where right now with the way he's playing, that trade is looking like a steal.
Well, my YouTube page froze, so I don't remember who said this, but someone in chat just said he had a good March last year too. And that got me thinking that maybe so it's a tough question, because maybe the fact that he doesn't do it a lot more in games leads him to be, at this point of the season, the same player he was, like I'm trying to think of the right word. Like the way he plays is similar to the way he was trying to play earlier in the season. And so you wonder if like a lot of teams are tired or injured or whatever, but Denny's still playing the same way he was. It's still like all of a sudden you're having to deal with this like force, and he's like picking his spots really well. You wonder if that's helping him be just as like physical as he was earlier in the season, or if he had a usage rate of Franz, if he'd be a little bit more worn down and like maybe not playing as well right now. I don't know. It's tough.
I'll just be honest. I don't really buy that. I think just the way he's scoring right now, if he was playing this way at the start of the season, teams aren't stopping him.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the start of the season, he was missing far easier layups than he's making right now.
Yeah.
And also, it's like he's drilling threes. So when he's drilling threes, it's just really hard to contain him. In a lot of these plays and transitions, defenders, it's not like they're not trying, or you know what I mean? If you're caught in a one-on-one in transition with Denny, he's seeking out contact in a way where you can just be in his way and you'll get called for a defensive foul, and then he'll go finish. Like it's actually quite crazy to see the way he can just like seek out contact in transition, even when a defender seems to be trying to avoid it a little bit, and the defender gets called for a foul and he scores, right? So it's like a lot of times, what do you do as a defender in transition with this guy with the head of steam coming at you? Because if you try and defend him, he's seeking out contact, and he's so strong and so fast, and he's able to dish contact and remain balanced. I think that's the most underrated part of his game. You know, a lot of guys can try and drive and be physical as an offensive player, but when you're running full speed and you're dishing out contact, a lot of times it's hard to stay on balance, at least well enough to finish the move. He's exceptional in that regard, and yeah, I just think a lot of times it's like it's not even necessarily bad defense. It's like, what do you do with this dude? So I that's why I just don't really think that's a thing for him. I I think he's young. I think, especially this year in Portland, he broke out last year, right? So he broke out last year, but then he gets traded to a new situation where you could tell he wasn't confident and comfortable in this situation yet, and you can see his confidence growing throughout the season.
What I'm saying is, if he had been doing this more every game, would he still like? I don't know if he'd be a lot more tired and like a lot more like worn down by now at this point of the season doing it 70 plus games.
I mean,
I
but
don't know.
he plays hard every night. Like he's always mixing it up on boards. He's always, even on games where he doesn't shoot a whole lot, he's dishing out contact. He's taking hits. He's ending up on the floor. You know what I mean? He's defending on the other end. He's sprinting back in transition. So yeah, that's why I don't really think that.
Yeah. Well, because let me find this. Terminus says all other teams players are tired, but he isn't. That's kind of what I'm saying. Is like he's kind of played at his own pace the whole year, so he's still seems like he's like he never changes how he plays. And I think I don't know that I think that's when I look at like games like last game where he could have easily scored 40 points, and he kind of slows down in the second half of some of these games. I don't know, he kind of plays like at his own pace sometimes.
But jacking more threes is not going to make him that much more tired at the end of the year.
True.
And also I don't.
But that's not what he does, really.
I mean, with the way he's shooting the ball right now, he certainly
could. Yeah, no,
he certainly could. He's shooting 36% from three. It would actually probably be easier for him to shoot more threes and drive slightly less and maybe score at a little bit higher clip. But because he's shooting more threes and driving slightly less, he's not exerting so much energy. I just don't buy that he's fresh because he's holding back, because he doesn't hold back in any area of the game otherwise.
Okay, I'm not saying he's holding back. I'm saying that if you asked him to do more than what he's doing, then I think it could reach a point. Like, I think he understands his body well enough to know that he's going all out as much as he can. I think if you keep adding more to that, then we might have an issue with him breaking down. Like, I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, I just don't really see. Yeah. I mean, I just don't really see anything to, base that off of, so...
because he's not just going to stand there and shoot threes. Like, if he was shooting
of course,
36%, he's going to, if he had the ball more, he would try to bully people more, because that's what he does.
Yeah, but he could definitely get up a couple more threes. There's times where he could, because the first three he shot in this game was a contested three that normally I feel like he's trying to drive, and he drilled it, right? Yeah. And you see some of the threes that some guys on this team take who aren't good shooters, right? Mainly like Chris Murray transition threes, sharp transition threes. I think he could easily get up a couple more a game and, you know what I mean? Assert himself a little bit more from the 3-point line, right? But also I do think the Blazers could do a little better job of getting him moving and getting him seams to attack and that sort of thing. But it's like...
We talked about exploring posting up too, maybe in the future.
Yeah, but I also don't think each hit is a certain amount that it's hurting him or wearing him out. I don't think these hits necessarily wear him out. Because we see games where he gets super aggressive and he'll dish out all this contact and he seems to relish in it, and you know what I mean? It seems to get him going, if anything. So yeah, I don't really think that's why necessarily he's playing better in March, because that was the topic that chat brought up.
Shooting threes is obvious.
Yeah, his 3-point shooting is helping, but I also think he's just more confident right now, and he's found where he can get to his spots. He also works really hard. That's what we've heard, and he had a huge leap last year, and he improved throughout last season. He didn't show that improvement at the start of the season. I was sitting there saying, I'm not worried about it at all. He's coming to a new situation. He's a talented player, while other people were like, oh, Cronin got fleeced. It's a terrible trade. Sounded like me with some of Cronin's other moves. And it was like, no, he's still talented. He's in a new situation. And he has to be given time to adjust. And then once he adjusted, he had a really good run earlier in the season. And then did have a little bit of a slump, which is going to happen to any player. And now is taken off again. I just think this is who he is. And I think ultimately he can become maybe not a 50% three-point shooter consistently, but he can consistently become a 20-point-per-game guy who has multiple triple-doubles in a season, who's rebounding the ball well, doing all the little things. And I don't know, man. Like, I think he can become 21, 22, 23-point-per-game scorer if he's more aggressive overall. I think he's capable of it in the future because he just turned 24. So,
yeah. So, someone described him as Derrick Henry, and that was kind of where I was going with it. Like, Derrick Henry, you pound with him, and then by the end of the game, like he runs crazy because like the other you've just like completely worn the team down. And I think at this point of the season, my point I was trying to make is that like Denny dishing out that physical punishment on his drives, like teams like don't want to deal with it anymore at this point of the season, and he's taking advantage of that, and he's wearing these guys down, and no one can stop him right now. I saw after the game, Brooke and Terry and Michael Holton had a little discussion about how come no one's double teaming him, and Brooke's like, we don't want the league to start double teaming him, but like, I mean, teams might have to start double teaming after a while.
yeah, man. That's the thing, though. He shoots the ball so well, or he passes the ball so well and he has size. It's always tougher to double team a guy that's 6'9", especially if he can see it coming, because he's just going to pass over you. If a guy's 6'3", right, it's a lot harder to pass over the double team. That's the problem with doubling.
Star.
It's star characteristics, right? So you just got to raise his volume because you have to find a star for this team. You might have one already on your team, and it might be him. It really might be him. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10 player or this or that, but he has all the traits you look for in a star scoring forward. Now, he's not as good of a ball handler, as shifty as some forwards, like a Jason Tatum, right? That's why I don't think he's ultimately going to be a top 10 player in the league. But he can put his head down, create contact, can score from three, score at the rim, pass the ball, run pick and roll. The Blazers are putting the ball in his hands more. Michael Malone was talking about that when interviewed the Nuggets head coach. Was talking about how the Blazers were putting the ball in his hands a little bit more. And ultimately, I think you got to continue to do that. You got to continue to explore that and just figure out what his ceiling is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, why not right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, great game from him. He continues to be really, really impressive. Really, really impressive. Eric Olson said, Tori's next step is ISO scoring in the half court, in my opinion. But he's like the most efficient ISO scorer in the league. He's like the most efficient ISO scorer in the league right now, statistically, on guys that have had at least 40 isolation possessions. That's the thing. I couldn't fault the Blazers for running more ISO through him, and I'm always somebody that's like less ISO, less ISO. But like, dude, if you have somebody that's smaller than him or slower than him, you should rely on that a little bit. Run some pick and roll, and if you need an ISO at the end of a shot clock possession, I trust Denny so much more than any other player on this team. Because if it's Anthony Simons, yes, he can make step-back threes, but that's, he'll get into the paint at times, but a lot of times it's going to be like a really tough jumper. Okay? Shaedon Sharpe, same thing. We saw him shoot multiple step-back threes today and break almost all of them, unfortunately. Denny, you ISO him near the end of a shot clock, and he's getting into the paint, and maybe he might turn it over, but at least he's putting pressure on the defense. A lot of times he gets fouled. He can get to the rim, finish, and then make a pass out of that collapsing defense, and he just puts his head down and he goes, right? He doesn't settle. And that's one of the things I love most about his game. He doesn't settle. It's not like, oh, I got a little bit of space, so I'm just going to step back and shoot a step back three with 19 on the shot clock because I made one, right? He doesn't really take bad shots. His shot selection is really, really good. He takes the threes that are there and he gets downhill and scores in the paint. Now, I think in order to take that next step, his shot selection might actually have to get a little bit worse because that's what star scorers do. They push the envelope and they'll take some bad shots. So, but that's what I've been impressed with. Is just he takes really, really good shots. And in isolation, man, he's been really, really good. He just doesn't do it a ton. Oftentimes, there's other guys on this team that'll finish off half-court possessions when the shot clock's getting low with their own isolation.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with all that more. But see, here's the difference. He passes sometimes, and he's he's way. I mean, you said it. He's number one in the league right now. So like, he's way more efficient than Jeremy does. So like, if Jeremy had that efficiency and that passing ability, like I would have no problem with him isoing.
Yeah.
But the problem is, Jeremy. I mean, some games in the last couple of years, he's gotten to the free throw line a bunch, and he's had efficient games. That's possible from Jeremy, but for the most part, it just feels like the offense bogs down. Whereas, and Jeremy takes a lot of dribbles too. Like Denny just puts his head down and gets to the freaking rim, right? Like he doesn't waste movements. He doesn't waste a bunch of time trying to go around the guy and like try a bunch of spin moves and stuff. Like he gets right to the rim, pump fakes or goes right at someone. And so like the ball just it's flowing. The offense is flowing. It doesn't seem to just be like, okay, Denny's turn to get a shot. Let's all just stand around and watch him dribble for 10 seconds. So like I don't feel like that ever happens with Denny. He hardly ever just like stands there and dribbles and tries to go around him. He either gets by him or he doesn't and kicks it back out. So like I think that's the main difference is you could have ISO players. It's good. Like you need players that can create in ISO situations. And if you have the most efficient ISO player in the league, definitely explore that. We're not saying to never ISO or whatever. You have to do that like a lot in games. But it's such an advantage when you have an efficient ISO player, but it's within the flow of the offense. It's not like taking turns, like Anthony's turn to get a basket and Jeremy's turn to get a basket. Oh, Ayton's pouting, so we need to give him a mid-range shot. You know what I mean? Like that's how it felt for the last year and a half here in Portland. So like but with Denny, like I don't know, it just feels like he takes over. And maybe it's that lack of volume is the reason, because it's not like we're sitting here like, oh man, Denny took like 28 shots tonight and only made 9 of them and he's still shooting there in the fourth quarter. Like, what are you doing, dude? You're 4 for 16. Why are you still shooting that shot? Like Denny doesn't. I mean, I know he struggled at the beginning of the season, but like he didn't shoot a ton of shots in those games he struggled. So like I think that's most of it is, even if he's having these incredible games, but it's not like he's like just going crazy shooting like way more or like not involving teammates or anything like that. So that's the most encouraging part for me, is that he's having these great games, but it's like you mentioned, it's nothing that outside of like obviously shooting 50% from three, like making as many shots as he does, but just the process of the way he's getting his shots, that is sustainable. Now, whether he hits the same percentage and has the same shooting splits, probably won't happen. But like everything else, the way he moves, the way he gets his shots, all that stuff, and that kind of brings me back to the point I was trying to make earlier, is that it's the same like throughout the whole season. Like he's always the same, plays the same way. So like I feel like that part of it is sustainable.
Yeah, well, isolation is always better when you got guys that make quick decisions and don't settle for bad shots. And that's Denny, right? Because, You ISO him, he makes a quick decision. If he doesn't have the right shot, he moves the ball, and they'll actually get the offense flowing through him attacking one-on-one, whereas other guys, it's I'm going to take 10 dribbles, and then whatever shot I get in that time, that's the shot I'm going to take. You know? Which, for talented scorers, okay, I get it, but there's just a little bit too much of that. A little bit too much of that from guys that aren't as good taking guys one-on-one as Denny has been this year. So that's why I've talked about how the offense looks so much worse without Denny, and how when he's here, we are able to, even if we're stagnant, we're still able to generate some good offense. Do you remember that conversation I had? I believe it was during one of his latest missed games. I forget when he missed games, but he's a big thing for a stagnant half-court offense that has struggled in the half-court. Just because he's the ultimate bailout. You give him the ball, he'll make a quick decision, he'll collapse the defense, he'll get to the rim, he'll get fouled. He'll turn over the ball too, but it's good stuff. So shout out to him. He was phenomenal today. Let's thank some donations. Shout out to Braden Tennis, $2 donation, says, I love Denny. Thank you, Braden. Shout out to Polly Ross, $2 donation. What's up, Polly? Says, Duop's the best fourth string center in team history. Yeah, man, Duop was great tonight. We're going to talk about him in a little bit, and then we'll take your calls.
What's up, Paulie?
Yeah, and if you want to call in, anybody out there, join the Discord.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, link in description. Also, if it's not showing up for you, if you're in the Discord and you're trying to call in, does the call in show up at the top of the Discord or not? Let me know. I'm curious. Yeah. I think for some other people it might not. I'll show you how to fix it if that's the case. Shout out to Emerson, who just became a starter level member. Thank you, Emerson. And then also dropped a 125. I need a currency check, Eric. Uh-oh. Drop the ball. I don't know.
Isn't that the Philippine peso or?
I don't know.
What's up, Emerson? Where are you?
It's 125 or something, and we appreciate it, Emerson. Good to see you. Says, stopped regular watching the Blazers since Dame got traded until they traded for Denny. I love Denny and Tamani's game. Need to resub. Go for playing? Question mark. You mean you need to resub to the channel? You unsubscribe from the channel? That hurts a little bit. But we appreciate the donation.
All right. Hopefully. Wow.
Or resub to the team. Because that part I get. If it's resub to the channel, I'm slightly.
Maybe he means like membership, like joining back.
Oh, yeah, okay, I understand that. Yeah.
If that's okay. Yeah, but if you, what did we do to you, man?
We're going through it with you, man. We're going through it with you. No, we appreciate you, Emerson. Good to see you. Shout out to Gray Hughes Investigates for the $10 donation. Says, if the Blazers play like this into the play-in, teams will be scared to play them. Keep on trucking. Thank you, Greg, for the $10 donation. I don't think NBA teams are really scared to play anybody, but I get your point, and I appreciate your donation.
It is an interesting question. I think anyone in the play-in wants Dallas right now, obviously.
Yeah.
They want Dallas to win that, but I don't think that's necessarily because they are scared of us. They just want the easier matchup.
Yeah. But you'd be more scared of us instead of being more scared of like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker? I don't know, man.
Game? Yeah, I don't know about one game. But I don't know. The Suns are such a weird team.
But they're figuring it out right now. Unfortunately for the Blazers in their play-in dreams, Phoenix is figuring it out. They just beat Cleveland pretty resoundingly today.
Well, Beal's been out. Is that a coincidence?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But Phoenix has looked really good. We got the play-in race games in the score ticker, so you can see the scores. But Kevin Durant went off. Kevin Durant had 42 tonight for the Suns. 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Shot 29 times. So basically, Kevin Durant is Denny if he shoots a little bit more, right? I'm just kidding. But Ryan Dunn, 10 points in the starting lineup, 9 boards. He had a good game. The thing is, you know what part of it is, maybe, which is kind of crazy. Because this guy has not been good recently until this game, but they're giving Colin Gillespie more minutes.
Yeah.
And he has not shot the ball well, but today was 5 for 6 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3, had 13 points, 4 assists. And he started over Tyus Jones. They're also playing Oso a lot more. Now, their center rotation is a mess, and I believe their centers were hurt today because Oso Ighodaro played 44 minutes for them. But he's been getting a lot more run lately, and this team has been playing better. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not, but Phoenix has a really tough schedule. They're going to have to continue to win games like they won tonight. But yeah, they look better. They definitely look better. They shot 19 for 42 from 3, 45%. Only got to the line 8 times. Interesting. And then Dallas, I just don't understand how Dallas beats Detroit, man. I don't understand.
I know, Cade had a huge game.
Yeah.
It's still...
Now, he did take 30 shots to get his 35 points. Yeah. Then he took, basically half that to get his 36. Right? That's the thing. What if Denny just decided, with how well he's playing, to just shoot 30 shots in a game?
He'd score 80 points then.
Yeah, 85. Don't shortchange him. That's just the question I always have is watching some of these games. But Dinwiddie had 31 and 7 assists. It's like Dinwiddie's only good if his team is missing multiple star players, and then he's phenomenal. It's very strange.
If you need him to step up as like a role player.
Yeah. It's he's kind of Bantonish a little bit to me. I don't know why. It just feels like Banton would be like the same way.
My mom is drunk.
Hell yeah.
Not really. I just...
Oh.
This is like some of the text messages I get from her sometimes. Demi awesome death she's is what she said.
Talking about Demi Lovato?
I think she meant... See, I've had to become good at deciphering. Okay, she says it later on. But I think she meant Denny, Reith, and Shea were awesome tonight, is what I think she's trying to say.
Reith was awesome. Let's talk about that. Shout out to your mom for the transition into talking about Duop, because he stepped up in a night where the Blazers, of course, had no centers. In 32 minutes off the bench, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, had 4 offensive rebounds, 6 for 8 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. He had a good game without doing anything from 3, which I think is the most shocking part.
Yeah, for sure. It was one attempt. It was like off a fast break or something.
And there was momentum. Like there was a back and forth sequence, and I really wanted him to make that 3 because that would have been a fun 3.
Yeah,
to see go in, but
and he had that one dunk. I was like, where did that come from? Like, he just powered it up, but like
he was actually playing like a big man today.
Yeah. Well, what's weird is like because they didn't start him, and it felt like the way Denver was going small too. This was just a game he probably would get played off the court. But man, he held his own. He was really impressive tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to him providing that spark off the bench. And then Banton, 6 for 10, 2 for 5, 19 points, 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, 2 turnovers. He was good tonight. His decision making on like 3 or 4 different plays drove me absolutely crazy, but I guess that's the Banton experience. When he gets hot, he's like streaky offensively, but also is a defensive playmaker as well, which is kind of weird. Mm-hmm. You just never know what you're going to get out of Banton on any given night.
Yeah.
Like he can win you a game in the fourth quarter scoring the ball, or he can be, 1 for 7 in 6 minutes and have 3 turnovers where he's jump passing and throwing to the other team, which he did in today's game for one of his 2 turnovers. But he had some good defensive moments as well. So it was a good game from him, even though it's funny because like he'll have 3 plays that really stand out to me that kind of drive me crazy, and then at the end of the game, it's like, oh, look at this phenomenal stat line, and that was basically tonight's game from him for me.
Yeah, Method 91 says, I hated Banton at one point in this game. Then right after he hit a 3, and just went off.
Did you say meth head?
No, Method. I think
Mount Hood.
Yeah. No, I call him Method. Sorry.
I assume it's supposed to be Mount Hood.
Yeah.
I thought you just called him Method. I was like, damn.
Uh, that's Garben, right? He might be a Method. No, just kidding, Garben.
He's not kidding, Garben. I wouldn't take that. Shout out to MGJJ123 with a $10 donation. Says this team plays so much Betty with Denny on the floor. It's way fun.
Betty with Denny?
Are you drunk?
No, you just said Betty.
Better with Denny. I'm reading
Denny.
fast, Eric.
All right.
This team plays so much better with Denny on the floor. It's way fun to be rooting for the 10th seed rather than tanking like we have in the last couple of seasons. Hopefully that was at a better pace for you. Shout out to MGJJ123 with the $10 donation. Yeah, man, it's weird to be enjoying a post-game show because a game matters. You know, I enjoy tanking shows too. We always find a way to have fun, but it's weird to be having these streams in March. Normally it's like, all right, when's the season over? What, are we going to get fourth best odds or fifth best odds? And right now it's like, I don't even want to look at the tankathon picture because it's not a pretty picture in terms of the lottery, but you are 2 games within a play-in. It's just was frustrating that both Dallas and Phoenix won today because it would have been cool to talk about being 1 game back. Now, luckily, the Spurs also won. The Blazers still have a chance to pass them and also might still have a chance to pass Chicago and maybe Miami if they win a game between now and the end of the season. Like, it's crazy we talk about Miami having the 8th best odds.
What if the Spurs get the 10th spot? That'd be crazy. No one's talking about them. They're still.
They're 3 games. They're 3 games back. It's just going to be, of course, hard with their injuries. Their schedule.
No Fox.
It's relatively tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really think they're in that picture. But for the Blazers, you can still get up to 8. You're only a game and a half away from the 8th best odds. Which at this point, like, if they don't make the play-in, I hope they get 8th best odds. Right? It's like play-in or bust, man. You don't want to be sitting here with 11th best odds or 12th best odds and not be in the play-in. At that point, it's like, man, for what? Like it's. I guess it would be maybe good to try and play to the end of the season for some of these young players. But yeah, it's play-in or 8th best odds right now is what we're looking at. Hopefully. So that's the thing is you're rooting for Phoenix and Dallas to lose to catch them, but also you're still rooting for teams like Miami, San Antonio, Chicago to win games so that if Portland can't catch those teams, they can still move up in the lottery.
Yeah, best case scenario, but it's tough for rooting for both right now. Like, it's just.
What do you mean? You can't root for 3 other teams to win games and 2 teams to lose games?
I'm just saying it's tough for, like, thinking about rooting for that because, like, even if those teams win, it just feels like we're going to win too many games the way we're playing.
I mean, yeah, but ultimately if Dallas and Phoenix lose a bit and those 3 teams win a bit, it's so even that it's like, all right, you either move up in the lottery or you get a play-in spot, right? So we just want that to condense, basically, is what I'm saying. Because right now there is only 3.5 game difference between 8th best lottery odds and Phoenix, who's 10th in the West, right? It's only 3.5 game difference. So you just want to be on one side of that if you're Portland. And if that becomes a 2 game difference, it's much easier to be on one side of that. Since we're on the topic, we might as well look at Tankathon.
Yeah, and someone asked earlier if, like, we're rooting for the play-in now. I mean, there's no reason not to at this point. Like, I mean, wouldn't you rather see them get the play-in than stay where they're at in the standings? Like. Yeah,
like, I'd rather, if they're going to be picking 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, I'd rather see them in the play-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at this point, it's like it doesn't really matter what I root for. I root for Denny to become a star. That's why I had that tweet said I'd be disappointed if he didn't score 40 after having 26 in the first half. And then I was asked about it
You got called out on.
on the radio yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I was on Trailblazers courtside with Chris Burkhart, 620. In studio. It was cool to be in studio and see the setup and how all that works. Was fun. And yeah, he asked me about that tweet. And it was like, people taking that wrong, like, I'm mad he didn't score 40. I'm just rooting for him to go off and turn into a star, and I think he's capable of having 40-point games, you know? And when he has 26 in the first half, it's like, cool, I'm rooting for him to drop 40, even 50. All right? Like, that's what I meant by I'd be disappointed if he didn't score 40 in that game. It's like, I want to see Denny fully blossom into the star that I think he has a chance of being. And he has these moments where he shows us that he's, I think, capable of becoming that type of player. And it's like, all right, man, I'm just rooting for that consistency. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's where it's like, all right, 26-point half, have more than 5 in the second half. Like, that's the next step, is just being able to more consistently assert his dominance the way he can in stretches of games. And he's doing that more consistently over entire games in the month of March. That's why his numbers look so good right now.
No, Reddit, I already saw it. Tori hates Denny of the bum could only score 31 points with 16 rebounds and 8 assists. What a terrible game. Yeah. Everyone's laughing at you for thinking that's a bad game.
Yeah, I was like 40 upvotes. Yeah.
Just so you know, Tori, that's a good game. Like, don't say you're
My
disappointing
bad.
in someone who has those stats.
I know. Yeah. Well, I would find a way to make 31, 16, and 8 a negative thing. You're right. You're right, man. Anyway, jokes aside, here's your tankathon picture. Okay, we'll simulate it. Did we ethically tank again? I feel like if we call out the ethical tank beforehand, it doesn't work, but if we wait, so I probably just jinxed it into it not working. But maybe I just reverse jinxed it. I don't know. But I just talked about this picture. We'll just sim the lottery and we'll see where the Blazers get. At 14, you got Atlanta via Sacramento. At 13, you got Dallas. So, Houston via Phoenix moves into the top 4. Listen, I really hope we make the play-in. Can we make the play-in and then move up? Because that's what this would be. The Atlanta Hawks from last year. That would be amazing, man. That would be amazing. So at 12, it should be Portland. And it is Portland with the 12th overall pick. Crazy. 11 San Antonio. Yay. 10 is Miami. So you also had Chicago. So you got Chicago and Houston. This is a wild tankathon sim.
Well, we've wanted a crazy sim.
Yep. 9 is Toronto. 8 is OKC via Philadelphia. So you have Brooklyn. 7 is Charlotte. So you also have New Orleans, I think. 6 is Utah, 5 is Washington. Yeah, New Orleans, Brooklyn, Houston, and Chicago. At 4 is the Houston Rockets via the Phoenix Suns. At 3 is the Brooklyn Nets. At 2 is the New Orleans Pelicans, which means the number 1 overall pick goes to the Chicago Bulls.
I could live with that.
So you got Cooper Flagg to Chicago, Dylan Harper to New Orleans, Ace Bailey to Brooklyn. Eric, I would never be able to watch a Brooklyn game with like Cam Thomas and Ace Bailey playing together.
It's like a worse version of Rutgers with only the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. God, man, I don't know. I don't like Ace Bailey.
That'd be really funny, actually.
Houston would go Edgecombe, I guess. Houston would probably trade that pick for a star. Like, Edgecombe is just, you got a men. It just feels like a smaller, better shooting version of a men. I don't know. You just drafted Reed Shepherd. if anything, maybe you need a point guard for the future. If it's not Reed Shepherd, Edgecombe isn't really that. I guess they could just draft the talent, man, but I would hate for Edgecombe to end up in Houston because I don't think he'd play next year. I think it'd be much like Reed Shepherd this year. So,
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant in the 12th pick for no, I'm kidding. I really wonder what they would do with that pick, though. Like if Trae Young is available, Eric, is that too high of a pick to give up for Trae Young?
Maybe not, because they could probably match his salary without giving up a ton more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it would be.
And there's your point guard, right? There's your point guard. So I think that would be my prediction. Is they make a move for Trae Young with that 4th pick.
Interesting.
And then Utah is stuck once again drafting in a spot that won't net him a star. I mean, maybe it would, but I don't know. That's the Tankathon picture. Alrighty. We got 3 people in the audience trying to call into the show. We love it. We're going to take your calls in a second. Let's rattle off through the final players we want to talk about, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tamani, 5 for 10 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 4 for 6 from the free throw line, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Really good game from him. And you look at the other side of things, Jamal Murray didn't score 55 points tonight, which was cool. He only scored 10.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Awesome game from Tamani defensively.
Yep.
Took, 2 charges again tonight?
Yeah, drew another offensive foul. Yeah. Great game from him. I like the 4 assists as well. Chris Murray, 3 points, 3 boards, 2 assists as a starter, 1 for 2 from 3. He made a 3. It was in garbage time, see, because the pressure was off. But it had a sick block, man.
Yeah.
Sick block.
With Buck Williams on the mic.
Yeah. It's beautiful. So, typical Chris Murray game, but he made a 3, which is cool. Sharp, 10 for 22, 1 for 10 from 3, was 9 for 12 inside the arc. And, Eric, is this game not the most, Shaden Sharp game ever?
It was pretty Shaden Sharp-esque.
Where he can't buy a 3, but is really good finishing at the rim, getting to the rim, but for some reason, almost half his shots are 3s, and he's shooting 3s in transition, even though he's 0 for 7, 0 for 8 from 3.
Yeah.
He made his final one, which was another 3 in transition. It was just man, why does this dude have 10 3-point attempts? That's a little too much for me, Eric, when he's not shooting the ball well.
Yeah. Although, I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but also tonight, what was weird, Tori? He grabbed a rebound off of missed free throw with it was 9 minutes into with 9 minutes left in the first quarter. And I was like, oh yeah, Sharp's playing in this game. He hadn't done anything the first 3 minutes of the game, not a single thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was on the court for a while.
Yeah.
And then, finally he did stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think tonight he just trying to force a little too much. But it's kind of understandable with our lineup tonight. But I agree if you're not hitting well with 3, but the problem is he was getting to the rim and finishing well. So why not continue to do that? Why are you settling for step back 3s and stuff all game?
Yeah, transition 3s, step back 3s, tough 3s. It's not like he was just missing a bunch of wide open 3s. Now, he did miss a couple wide open 3s, but It's like, why are you shooting these tough step backs when you're not making threes, man? Like, on these step backs, Eric, he struggles to get the ball to the rim a lot of times. Yeah. And if he wants to shoot those shots, I think he has to switch up the way he shoots them a little bit. Either release the ball a little bit earlier in his jump so he gets a little bit more power from his legs, or shoot with a little lower set point so that he gets a little bit more power from his arms. Because oftentimes it seems like he's straining to get the ball there, shooting these tough step back threes where he's fading away from the NBA three-point line.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if he gets the ball there, it's like he's straining, so he's going to miss left or right. It's not natural. Mm-hmm. Right? So he has a lot of work to do on his shot, and it's very important that he puts in the right work and develops as a shooter, because
agreed,
it would be huge for his game. It would be huge for his game, man. Mm-hmm. And it opens up his drives more. So he needs to be shooting 1,000 threes a day in the offseason. Maybe that's a little much. I don't know. But he needs to come back a better shooter next year. We talk about consistency. It's like, I just think becoming a more consistently good three-point shooter solves any inconsistency issues beyond like your normal highs and lows over the course of a season. So that's like the one thing I care about going into next year for him, is him becoming a better three-point shooter.
Well, he's got two guys on his team, Denny and Scoot, that both drastically improved their three-point shot over the course of an off season, or like while they were in the NBA. So he's got a couple people on his team he can go to figure out what they're doing differently.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that you were on courtside last night. You had a great breakdown or discussion with Chris about what made that work in terms of Scoot's form and stuff like that. And so and the whole time you were talking, I was just like, man, we should be saying this about Shaden. Like, if he just gets a stronger base and isn't just so casual with his form, like I feel like it should be like an easy fix for him if he puts in the work, and hopefully he does that in the off season.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what he has to do to figure it out, just as long as he figures it out. It's very important. It's very important. I mean, he was good outside of the three-point shooting, though. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of really impressive drives, finishes. Defensively wasn't a negative, which is what I ask for from him right now. Yeah, only had one turnover, right? So it was a good game from him. Just, it's one of those things where it's like, man, some of the threes he was shooting I didn't really like, and if he could just become a more consistently good three-point shooter, then he would have the potential of scoring 40 on any given night.
Miles says Sharp couldn't work on his game last offseason, right? He was injured. Didn't he get hurt later? Or he was hurt at the end of last season. He was hurt
at the end of the season, yeah.
Or he had the core surgery, right? But he was supposed to be pretty much cleared by the end of the season last year. There was some debate on whether they should play him in the last few games or not. And then the shoulder injury was towards the end of the offseason. So he should have had some time to work on his stuff.
Yeah.
But that is an issue if he's hurt a lot, if he can't work on that stuff.
It's been good to see him have a healthy season since he came back from that shoulder, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is we haven't been having those conversations, which is a good thing. Scoot Henderson, 6 for 13 from the field. 4 personal fouls, so only played 20 minutes. 16 points, 4 assists. 3 for 5 from 3. It was good to see Scoot have a good three-point shooting night because he's been slumping, and we've talked about it. Right?
That monster putback dunk.
Yeah, that was cool. And then I don't know if it was the play right after it, but then he gets a steal
Yeah.
and shrugs off Christian Brown in transition and has like an open layup and tries to reverse it and misses it. And it's just like, why did you even try and reverse that? I don't know if the camera angle made it seem like he could have just went up on the same side, but it was like, why'd you try and reverse that, Scoot? It was weird. It was weird. He's missed a couple lay-ins lately where it's like, okay, you got to finish that or you got to just shoot that better, where it's kind of frustrating, but also something that I think will be fixed in the next couple of years. So it's not like something I'm going to freak out about. Because he has shown improvement as a finisher and with his left hand. There's just times where he like flashes back to last year with the way he tries to finish. It's like, why'd you make that so much harder on yourself? That transition play is being a good example. So I think he'll continue to improve and get that out of his game. These weird little reverse right hand, try to spin it super hard off the backboard, missing bad. So it was a good shooting game, which was good to see. Sucks he didn't get to play more because I thought he was pretty solid when he was in.
Yeah. Yeah, outside of the turnovers. And I don't, Tori, what's with it when because Daddy does this too sometimes. It's like they don't always get called for it, but they're like so on the verge of traveling a lot, like right under the rim. And
Are you talking about the plays where they bump the defender and then
they
like kind of Euro step
chop
through?
their feet a little bit, yeah. But it's not really a Euro step. They like kind of stop and then take a step, and like it's just like they're kind of awkwardly stuck in between shooting or passing or something.
Nah,
And
but that's kind of that type of move and slowing down your last two steps after you create some contact. Like that's becoming more and more popular, I think.
yeah, but with Scoot, it seems like he gets stuck. We talked about Denny being decisive. At least he's usually like, even when he's out of control, at least he's like going. He has a plan. But like Scoot, it feels like he stops because he's unsure of what to do. Like right when he gets to the rim, a couple times, and like that's something he was doing a lot last year, and he hadn't done it at all this year. So I was like surprised when he did it again. And like Eric Olsen says, deceleration. It's not because like when he started becoming better at using his speed and slowing down and stuff, like he wasn't coming to like a complete stop like he is now. And like I don't know, it seems like he's kind of like unsure what to do. I don't know.
He's had some good moments doing that though.
Yeah,
This year, like it's a work in progress.
mm-hmm.
It's a work in progress. Like I don't think it's a bad move. I think the play he did on Christian Brown, he should have just finished on the same side of the rim. Or he should have just went up with his left, like on the front side of the rim. You know what I mean? We've seen him have some finishes kind of like that, though, this year. So we've seen flashes of it being really good. It's easier for Denny because he's 6'9". Mm-hmm. Because it is harder to jump off that last step when you do that. Denny's already closer to the rim, so it's easier to finish, where Scoot's more below the rim. So it's just a different way you have to shoot it. So, yeah, like I think it's fine. I don't think it's a bad move in a lot of spots. I just think finishing them off sometimes is the tough thing, and that's just something he needs to work on, the finishing aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm talking about the one he traveled. Like
the one let me pull up that play. Because I'm trying to...
Because I know what you're talking about, like the Denny move where you like try to body someone and then stop and let them go by.
Are you just talking about the last two steps where you come to like a 2-foot stop with a 1-2?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about something completely different then.
Yeah, because I'm talking about the plays where he drives in and then he kind of stops and gets like you can see his brain working. Like, should I pass or shoot it? And then he like takes an extra step and travels. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sliding that back foot. I think that's fine if you just don't slide that back foot. I just think the one you're talking about was his first turnover. Yeah,
I think
start of the
so.
game. He just decided to stop too late.
Hmm.
See, but like on the play he did that. He really just needs to go up with his left hand off his right foot.
Yeah.
And he maybe not isn't going to get all the way to the rim, but that's the type of shot to shoot there, right?
Yeah.
And that's something where his left hand has gotten better this year, but it's still a work in progress. And as he gets more comfortable with his left, that may be what he does, right? But also, a problem on some of his drives are, especially lately, I feel like, is he's not taking a direct enough angle. I feel like when he's doing a really good job getting into the paint and making plays and finishing, it's when he attacks and like attacks at his defender and creates a little bit of contact. And there's been some drives lately where he's kind of just trying to like loop around guys, like drive around guys without creating contact, and he's not getting an optimal angle to the rim. So then that's when it's like he doesn't have a great angle to the rim, so that's when he tries to stop in the paint and turn, or he gets stuck. Right? A lot of what you do in the paint or what you're able to do in the paint is determined off of the angle you take to attack your defender. And defenders are closing out on him a bit more. Like that play you're talking about, he probably could have shot the three, but I think if he drove and created more contact and like got into the body of the defender, he may have had a better chance for success there. But Christian Brown's a good defensive player. Sometimes I wonder if he needs to get back to shooting a little bit more mid-range. Because he shot a lot of mid-range shots in the G League and it looked pretty good. And he shot a bit too many last year, in my opinion, starting off. It seems like he's completely cut that out of his game, at least from a pull-up aspect. Like sometimes he'll stop 12 feet and pop. But there's a lot of times where guys will kind of, they won't fully close out, but they'll close out enough to run him off the line. And then he'll start to drive and they'll turn and they'll just run with him and meet him in the paint. And it's like, that's when you shoot a pull-up, right? Or that's when you cross over into a little sidestep 15-footer to keep defenders honest. So it's just little nuances. It's just little nuances that I think he'll continue to get better at.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Who else you want to talk about? Or do we cover everybody?
Oh, I think we covered. Let's get to the calls.
Yeah, I think we covered everybody. Because that was the last starter. All right. First person to request to speak, we will take your call. So first hand I see will be the first call we'll take. It's just a race to figure out how to do it. All right, there we go. We got Mike. Mike Buckets with a Z.
What's up, Mike? Come on.
Now he just has to figure out how to accept the invite to the stage.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Mike Buckets, how you doing today?
Good, just chilling. Nice little win today, so it was good to watch for sure, especially with a lot of guys out. The one thing that I really wanted to talk about was just when Tumani can shoot and when he's able to score a little bit, like the way that he was guarding Jamal Murray, the way that he's guarding guards at 6'8", that makes him one of our best players. I would say he's up there with Denny when he can get his shot off a little bit. I thought the Blazers did a good job mismatch hunting on Jamal Murray. That was probably the biggest thing in the second half. Like, Denny's just too physical, like, for these guys without Jokic. I mean, Jokic's not really going to help on defense, but when there's not much offense on the Nuggets, it really helps. And, Scoot, too, I feel like, he's really good. I think the point that you brought up, Tori, about how he's a guy who likes to kind of face up and attack the defender and then put the ball up instead of trying to get around the defender. I feel like he needs to figure that out about like what does he want to do mainly because like I think that it's a lot better for him when he tries to, jump up and go for contact. The thing is he doesn't go for a lot of dunks and I feel like he can,
Yeah.
but it's if he can improve on the finesse side though, then that also would work probably better. So I mean, it just depends on what he ends up doing. But I feel like he's just done a lot better of like trying to get to the rim these last couple games. And the other thing with Scoot is like he's got to figure out what he has to do when he gets to a spot because like for a lot of players you can get to a certain spot, but if there's good defense on you, you have to figure out what you're going to do after that. And I feel like the biggest thing is the Blazers need a couple more bench guys or just a couple more players like in the draft or wherever that can attack closeouts like correctly so that we can get the ball moving. Because
Yeah.
the thing with like that, like if we're gonna use Denny at a high usage, that's what we would need
Yeah.
because that just makes his job a lot easier and then that can unlock his assist potential too. Because the thing is like every single night Denny goes off, he gets you at least 5 assists, 6 assists, maybe even more. And that type of stuff is super, super impressive.
Yeah.
So
No, those are all great points. I think I want to touch upon a couple of things too there. I think the thing is with mismatch hunting with Jamal Murray, that's a really good point. A lot of teams, when they're small and don't have a traditional center in the game and are playing against another team that is also small and also doesn't have a traditional center, a lot of times those lineups will switch because you're switching perimeter players with perimeter players. Now, Aaron Gordon is bigger than Jamal Murray, right? So Aaron Gordon is a tougher guy for somebody like Denny to score against, but that's what's intriguing about a Denny small ball lineup where Denny's the 5-man is a lot of those defenses will try and switch things and you can get some really good matchups out of that you can attack, especially with a guy like Denny. So I do think that's very important for them to do when they go small, especially if other teams go small and they're switching, is just to find matchups for him to attack. And then as far as Scoot goes, just it's very important for him to create optimal angles when he drives because at 6'3", you're not going to be able to get away with as much as you can if you're 6'9", right?
Yeah.
Like the little details there are more important for a slasher that's 6'2", 6'3", than somebody like Denny where he doesn't have to even beat his guy off the dribble. He can create some contact and just kind of flick it up at the rim because he's closer, right? So there's a lot of little nuanced stuff that Scoot has to figure out in terms of the right move, when to make the right move, and what the right move is, as well as continuing to pick his spots better and continuing to create contact because I think that's where he's at his best, especially when he tries to attack more downhill compared to kind of curving some of his drives. So I think he's shown a lot of improvement there this year, so I think it's a good work in progress, even though there's still some more work to be done.
If he learns how to
Yeah, I
use his
agree.
athleticism like he did on that dunk, though, maybe that's a little.
That was the other thing is like you said you think he could dunk more. I have that same feeling. There's a layup in this game. I think he might have missed it where it's like, man, why didn't you try and dunk that? And you go watch him in the G League. It's like, did he lose some vertical athleticism or something? Because
I think it like personally, I feel like it's because a lot of the times like when he's in the game, it just feels like he's doing a lot defensively. So I feel like he doesn't want to go up for dunks to kind of preserve energy, even though obviously, when you lay the ball up and, you try to jelly on guys, that type of stuff is going to lead to a lot of energy being consumed too. But I feel like I feel like he's rather trying to develop that layup to be really good. Because I feel like honestly, that's the biggest thing with Scoot. If he can develop that inside shot, like he could be really, really good as a player. Like he could be a guy that can average 20 and 8. Like I think the shot is like buying in on the shot is also part of that, but you also have to pray that he can just improve. Like there's nothing that I can really like think about from his shot. Like he just has to, take better shots, just be not rush. Like I feel like that's the other thing with Scoot is just not rushing out there. Like a lot of the times, like you want to, create contact and make things happen, but you don't want to do it too fast. And,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if the reason he's not dunking is because he's trying to finish too quick. Like he's just trying to beat guys to the backboard so he doesn't get blocked. Instead of, that's the thing. When you're rushing layups, sometimes it's harder to explode vertically off that last step, especially as a 1-foot jumper. That might be part of the problem where in the G League he didn't have to rush his layups, so he could just power up and rise up and dunk on people. But I don't know, man. It's something that's kind of baffled me a little bit.
Yeah.
Eric, you got any thoughts?
Well, I was gonna say, excuse me. The dunking thing, though, because you talked about how that expends it. Sorry.
You're dying on us?
I still have some lingering effects of being sick a couple weeks ago.
Gotcha.
But no, the dunking thing. See, like when Scoot had that dunk, and you mentioned his energy level and that getting that steal right afterwards, and he did get a little too hyped up, had a couple turnovers right after that. But like, I feel like when he makes a big play, you can see him ramp up his focus and his energy level, and he just like gets all crazy and stuff. Like I feel like if he would try to dunk it, it would almost like help him, like be crazier. Like, and that's like unleashed is the right word, I think.
Yeah.
Like so, I feel like anytime he starts to do well, it feels like he's being unleashed and he's just gonna go crazy and like he's flying around the court and making all these plays all of a sudden. And then like when he does something bad, it's almost like he kind of like brings that back in and harnesses it. And so like I just want him to be unleashed all the time, right?
Yeah, he should embrace being a little chaotic. Like
right.
He's gonna have moments with his play style where he's going to make mistakes. You just want him to knock down threes and get a little better as a driver to where he's efficient enough where it makes sense for him to consistently attack. You're going to have some mistakes, but you just want him to be a little chaotic defensively, pushing in transition. Sometimes it might not look good, but just keep that energy. Keep that, I agree with you. When he makes a play like that, you can see him like get amped. Now it's like, how do you get that out of him all the time, even if stuff's not going well, or even if he hasn't made a play like that yet? Because that's kind of how Westbrook was in his prime, where it didn't matter if he missed a shot, made a shot, like he was always just kind of amped up no matter what. And that was one of the things that made him a really good player. So how do you get that out of Scoot? Especially because Scoot's a better three-point shooter this season than I think Russ maybe ever was. So, it's fine if he's shooting jumpers. Russ got super jumper happy at times, and he wasn't the best jump shooter. So, yeah, it's an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah, and then the last thing I was just going to say about Scoot, and that's pretty much it for me, is just defensively, like I feel like I see a lot of potential from him. Like, especially in a game like this where the Blazers in the second half did a good job of, like, really, like, pressuring every single Denver Nuggets defender because they felt like defensively, they could really pressure them at the end of the floor because they didn't feel like Russ and those guys could dribble on them, honestly. And they did a good job of just controlling the game that way. And I feel like if Scoot can improve defensively too, like, all of his stuff on offense becomes less of a problem because, he does get taken advantage of one-on-one sometimes, like a good amount, but like just what he does other than that, I feel like can be definitely like expanded upon as a defender. Yeah. And like he'll get better one-on-one too, obviously. I just feel like he's physical enough as like a 6'3", 6'4" guard to like actually be a solid lead guard at the point of attack. So it'll be interesting to see like how he develops and like how long that takes.
Yeah, man. Listen, those are all great points. Appreciate your call. Thank you for calling in, man. Good to talk
Thank
to
you
you.
guys. Yeah, you guys have a good one.
You too. And then what he said about Scoot being like on the ball, physical pest. It's why I like having Klingon long term as the center, is because when you try and be aggressive on the ball, when you're trying to go for steals, you're going to get beat off the dribble a bit. Having a 7'2" rim protector, hopefully somebody who will be in conversations for being the best rim protector in the league, having that guy behind you to clean things up when you do get beat off the dribble allows you to be a little bit more of that pest on the ball, trying to make offensive players work, exert energy just to bring the ball up the floor. You know, you're going to get steals doing that. I think that's the best archetype of defender for Scoot, is a guy that's trying to be a pest like that. And when you have Tamani, Klingon, Denny also on the floor, it makes it much easier for Scoot to play that way without it hurting the team. So it fits when you have the defensive help behind him. You're muted, by the way.
Nice. And that's something we talked about for a few years, or at least I have mentioned this, is sometimes I feel like you just have to match up players with their counterpart and like put Scoot on a guard and stuff and let him use some of that energy to, like, I want you to go shut him down, like get him all hyped up and get him to go in and do that. Like I would like to, I mean, as good as Tamani is on the ball, and that's something that definitely we shouldn't detract from or take away. But I also think at times we should once again unleash Scoot to just be like, dude, I want you to go in there, just be on his butt. If, like, the entire time you're in there, do not let Jamal Murray get a single good shot off and or whatever. Like, kind of challenge him that way and just see what that looks like, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, as Eric Old says, lock his ass up. Yep.
Absolutely. All right, we got our next, maybe our last caller, Arius. Hello, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well.
You found a way to call in, huh?
Quite well. Yeah, I have. First of all, thank you for what you're doing. It's really interesting listening to you. I learn a lot from you guys.
Appreciate that. Love to
second
hear
of
it.
all, yeah. And also, English is not my native language, so please
Where are
be
you from?
patient with me. I'm from Israel,
Oh,
at the Danish
nice.
border. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so you've talked about usage, and I took a little glance at the usage rating, and I can see 4 people above Denny that are like that actually play minutes. So we have Anthony Simons, who has 24.8, Shaden has 24.6. Delano Benton, I don't know if we can include him, but 23.6, and Scoot 22.7. So we have 4 people that play well, we're using them a lot more than Danny, and I think it's a bit of a miss there in terms. I don't know who calls this. I don't know if it's something that Chauncey calls. I don't know if it's just how the team plays. But I think it's a bit weird, considering that is one of your most efficient players. How do you view it?
I view it in terms of Anthony Simons and Shaden Sharp are just a little bit more aggressive shooting shots, especially threes. Shaden Sharp tonight, 1 for 10 from 3, but he got up 10 threes, right? Meanwhile, Denny is 4 for 6. Only shoots 6 of them. Now, he got downhill a lot and got to the line a lot, which is a good thing, right? I don't necessarily want Denny to shoot too many threes. He's at his best, I think, when he's getting downhill and putting pressure on a defense. But I just think there's times where maybe Denny could be even more aggressive and seek out the ball a little bit more, because I don't think Portland has a ton of structure to their offense. It's kind of like guys can get shots up if they really, really want to. I don't think many plays were ran for Shaden Sharp today, but he got up 22 shots, right? And Denny's usage has been better lately. I do think the Blazers could try and design maybe a little bit more to get him more looks and put him in areas where he's strong and get him going downhill. But I also think a little bit of it is on Denny to be a little bit more aggressive, because when he's playing this well, he should be more aggressive. He's been really effective in the month of March, and I do think
Yeah, but he's not a volume shooter.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, to be a volume shooter, you have to shoot a high volume of shots. So I do think some of it is he can be a little bit more aggressive in taking even more shots, especially on nights like tonight where he's making almost everything he shoots.
Yeah, but
Or-
nights like this, well, recently it's not an outlier, but because he's playing so well, but it's not something that is sustainable. It's something that is sustainable, is like not most improved, is like a MVP candidate if he gives nights like this every night. But my problem right now, it's like I'm looking at how much freedom uh, this team gives certain players. It's like Anthony Simons, it almost feels like he's saying, yes, this is my team. Almost like I'm gonna give it a bit of an example, a bad example, but let's say Jordan Poole from the Washington Wizards, because that's what I know from, a year ago.
Yeah.
It's like a player that is so inefficient, so, I'm sorry to say, dumb sometimes. And basically, yeah. And I'm just like trying to understand how do you give, because he's not a young player. He's not 20. He's not like a third pick in the draft. So why do you think they give him so much freedom?
Eric, I'll let you answer that. I know you were trying to say something.
Well, yeah, so this kind of ties into what I was saying for usage rate, or what your question about usage rate. Um, so you listed off their usage rates. They weren't really like that. That isn't a huge difference. So I think it feels like at times it's what you're saying about Anthony, but in reality, I think the Blazers have done a pretty good job throughout the year of trying to integrate, Anthony, Shaden, um, Banton, you talked about, like when he's in the game, he's gonna get his shots up,
Yeah.
Denny, Jeremy when he's playing, Aiton when he's playing. Like these are all people outside of Aiton that you could make the case have Scoot, like all have done better on the ball than off the ball. So like I feel like that is one thing I know it seems like at times Anthony takes over, but also our offense has gotten kind of stagnant at times. I think they could do a much better job of creating opportunities. And it's not, usage rate isn't just like how many times they have the ball and shoot or whatever. Like sometimes you can run plays for someone and that can kind of count towards that as well. So I think they could do a better job of creating shots out of off-ball action for other people. But in terms of just giving people a chance to have the ball and create plays, I think it's about as balanced as you can get with the current lineup, while also trying to see how well these players do with that role. And Anthony just, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your view, like at times he's been one of the few people who's can consistently create a shot out of that. So yeah, it's tough because like I do agree. Like last game, Tori and I talked about this on the post game show. It felt like Anthony was like shooting every time, but like I don't know, he almost had to at certain points during the season. So I don't know, man. It does feel like it's pretty balanced, and I would say like Denny's thriving under whatever they're doing right now. So like I don't know if you want to like drastically change it too much. And something that's often overlooked by just looking at or comparing him to like a Jordan Poole is that how much of these opportunities are because of some of the other players' abilities too, like Shaden Sharp. Like, are they starting to respect him more? Scoot, are they starting to respect him more? Anthony, we know, has some gravity, and teams respect him defensively. So, like, is that also helping these players off ball as well? I think that all comes into what I think is unlike last season. I thought it was terrible last season. I know you are watching the Wizards last season and not the Blazers, but this season has just been so much more balanced in terms of that this year. I haven't had as much complaints about it, but it still can get better. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's perfect or anything by any stretch.
You can see. I'm sorry if I interrupted you, but you can see when Danny, like, people can say, "Oh, you're biased. You're Israeli. Of course, you're gonna love Danny." I love Danny as a player. If he was a bust, everyone would say, "Okay, he's a bust." No one is delusional enough to say, "Okay, he's the greatest player just because he's Israeli." No one would say that. My issue is that you have a really good core. I'm gonna be honest. When I heard that he's gonna move from the Wizards to the Blazers, I was like, so he's moving from the Wizards to the Wizards of the West? Like,
Yeah.
that's how I viewed it. That's how Israeli people viewed it. And I'm like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. And basically, what we saw, and we have YouTubers that follow him and everything, and it's like, you guys are actually fun.
We
Like,
weren't.
I'm
We weren't last
enjoying.
year. We weren't fun last year. This is a
Exactly.
new thing to us too. Yeah.
What do you think is the catalyst of that? What do you think actually changed? Do you think it's just Danny, or it's just some of the players, just got better as a whole? Like, how do you view your improvement? Because it's not just players being better. It's like you change how you're playing, like better ball movement, better everything. What actually changed? What do you think was the actual catalyst?
That's a good question. I think part of it is the Blazers have been healthier this year. Part of it last year was Shaden Sharp missed a lot of time. Anthony Simons missed some time. I think part of it is Scoot has been noticeably better this year. He was really, really rough last year as a rookie. But then Denny's been a huge part of it. This team without Denny looks a lot more like last year's team. But with Denny on the floor, he changes the complexion of this team. And their offense needs him on the floor to create out of situations where the offense doesn't have much going for it. Because last year, a lot of times, it's like, all right, Anthony Simons shooting a contested jumper, or Scoot Henderson is driving into three people and turning it over, and you don't really have any other options. Now Scoot's better. Now you have Denny there to create a lot of that. And then also the way he pushes in transition has made this team more fun because this team runs a little bit more now, and it's always fun to see a team play fast and get out on the fast break and run. So I think Denny's a big reason. I think there's other smaller reasons why this team is better for sure. I think Klingon has been a positive defensively for this team as well. And then Tamani's gotten even better. Some young players have been a bit better this year as well. So a bunch of little things, but Denny's a huge part of that.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand.
Appreciate your call.
If you guys,
Go ahead.
yeah, thank you. No, I just wanted to say one more thing, and
Yep.
if you can answer that.
Yep.
We're too good to tank. We're too bad to compete, to be contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see us more about the trade route, whatever you want to call it, or more about maybe free agency? What would you pick?
Eric, you can.
Well, the Blazers have never been a strong player in free agency, despite what our general manager has said in the past. They just, mostly because they're in a bad cap situation and didn't clear that up once again for this summer, so they're once again not going to be able to explore free agency. Could they make a big trade this summer? yes, they obviously have a ton of big contracts that they could match pretty much any salary if they were willing to attach the acquired assets. So it'll be interesting to see if they make a big move this summer. I tend to look at it like this team took a pretty sizable jump this year. I'd be surprised if they made their all-in move this summer. I think they're going to be patient and see what the next step is next year. Try to add a couple of players. I mean, obviously, it's going to be really hard to add another Denny type player, but
Yeah.
that's the goal is
For the
to
gamble.
yeah to go for add another one of those type of players this summer, whether that's through the draft like they did with Klingon last year or through a small trade or whatever, or a medium-sized trade. And then, so I think they'll go into the next year, like just tweaking the roster a little bit. Hopefully, they trade one of their big contracts just to clear up some salary in the future to be a little bit more flexible and have a chance to either make a bigger trade or, bring in a free agent even if we have to overpay a little bit. But yeah, I think this summer they're going to push it as, oh, we took a big jump this year. We're excited to see what this team can do playing like this on a full season and not really make a huge drastic change unless it's just dumping some of the veterans.
Let's see. Okay. Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, man.
Keep
Call
up the
in
good
anytime.
work. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Great call, man. Great call. We got
Yeah.
2 great calls tonight, and this is why we love opening up the lines. You can join our Discord and call in on future shows. We're going to try and take more calls throughout the rest of the season. So that's why we like to take calls, because we get some really good ones, man. We got some cool people in this community, and we're grateful that you're a part of this community, all you out there. Shout out to Adir Shimshin with a 15. What's the Israeli currency called?
I forgot what shekel. I don't know.
Shekel.
I don't remember.
Because in the message, shout out for the 15 shekel, if that's right. Hopefully that's right, because in the message he says, much love, Eric and Tori. Hope you remember this currency by now. I am really bad with currencies. That's why I always ask Eric to tell me what the currency is, because
Israeli news.
this has been a thing for like 5 years where I don't remember any currencies except for dollars. So yeah, that's why I always have Eric here to help me out. But the rest of the donation says, any tips for a foreigner who wishes to visit Portland and see the Blazers at Moda Center? That's the rest of the donation. I would say if you come here, don't stay in downtown. Don't stay in downtown.
Stay in the Couve with Tori.
Yeah, stay up in the Couve. It's Vancouver, Washington, across the river. Do you have any tips for a foreigner who wishes to see the Blazers in Portland at Moda?
There's certain parts of Portland you could stay in, but yeah, I would stay in one of the metro areas, and I mean, there's this transportation called Max. A lot of people think it's sketch, but my mom takes it every game, and I won't out her age, but she's an older woman, and she's fine taking it. You're not going to get killed or anything on there. So I think staying like in a Clackamas or Beaverton or something, and then going
you try to scare
Vancouver.
Do this and you won't get killed. You try to scare them?
No, I'm joking. So
yeah. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
I know some people are going to disagree with this, but for the most part, yes, you go downtown and there's some parts that are really tough to look at or whatever. But like, you're not going to get bothered for the most part unless you are like searching it out or like in certain areas. So like, I think
But
it's a
Eric,
pretty safe city.
ultimately, foreigner's not going to know which areas those are, right? That's too much to
Right,
remember.
yeah.
So that's why it's like just best to stay out of downtown. There's a couple areas that are a little rough, like not bad, not some where it's not bad, but most of downtown's fine, right? But there's a couple areas that are rough, and as a foreigner, like you're not gonna know where those areas are. So ultimately, I think just take the max, stay somewhere nice. And
He
then
might not have a car though if he's so Parker's saying to don't park downtown, but you might not have a car if you're coming from.
you guys making Portland sound horrible. No, Portland's not
Oh,
horrible, but
it's not as bad as everyone outside the city.
yeah,
thinks it is.
yeah. Like and I've said that multiple times. I just think ultimately, if you're a foreigner, like it's just probably a little better experience to stay somewhere other than downtown. That's just my opinion. Public transportation is fine, and so you can take the max, especially if you're going to a game. There's always a bunch of Blazer fans that take the max 2 games. It stops right outside the arena, and then you can take it back, and that's easier instead of having to deal with parking and all that, because that can get confusing. If you're renting a car. I don't recommend that. Take an Uber to the stadium. It's a lot easier to deal with. But yeah, just go see the waterfront, whether it's Columbia River, Willamette River. Especially if you're coming in the spring. There's I don't know what else you're doing, but just make sure you make the most of it. You're coming to Portland to see the Blazers play, but there's a lot of other cool things to do around the city. So that would be my last tip, is just make the most of your trip beyond just seeing the Blazers play.
Max also goes right to the zoo.
Yeah.
To see the baby elephant.
You can go to the zoo. The Japanese garden is
that's also right next to the zoo.
Yeah, also right next to the zoo. The Japanese garden is a really nice place to go see. So, yeah. Internet will tell you a lot in terms of good places to go see, eat, depending on what type of food you like. That sort of stuff.
Unlike Dame, be like Jeremy and go to the Oregon coast.
Yeah. That was funny after Dame's comments on that, to see the Jeremy Coast pictures. Like, yeah, this dude is so Portland. He has to prove it. He has to go to the coast, unlike Dame. But yeah, chat, feel free to give tips as well. Feel free to read the chat for tips. I'm sure they have a lot of great tips.
Oh, Jenny just went to the zoo? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta. I'm assuming you're coming to see Denny. So yeah, if you went to the zoo, you gotta go to the zoo.
Yep. Works Joe says, we just think it's sketch because we're soft Oregonians. Israelis are hard. Speak for yourself. I'm not an Oregonian. So.
Wait, where's that comment? What did it say?
He said, we just think it's sketch because we're soft Oregonians. Israelis are hard. Just funny comment. You're a soft Oregonian, Eric. I'm not. I'm a Washingtonian. I'm good. You're a soft Oregonian.
I guess that's true. Sorry.
Anyway, all jokes aside, appreciate the donation. Hopefully we gave you good advice.
I took a picture of the baby elephant. Alex Wolf asked what that cheese factory is called. Tori, you got this?
Tillamook Cheese Factory.
Yes, there you go.
Yes, sir. My Tillamook hat, I've retired, I guess. When was the last time I wore that? If only Trevin was in here, he would know off the top of his head because he knows these things. But
Aeromancer might.
I don't think I've worn a hat on one post-game show this season. I've retired the hats, man. I've retired the hats.
You should stay near the Vancouver Mall and go to Hooligans.
Oh, that's the worst advice
No.
we possibly could give.
Yeah.
No, do not stay by the Vancouver Mall. Shout out to Tyler. Shout out to Tyler Smith. with the $5 donation says, "Welcome, Denny fans from Israel. Denny is the star of this team." Yeah, he certainly looks like it right now, man. Can't argue with that right now. He's phenomenal in March. Been
Did you read
good all
Travis'
season.
comment?
But, what's with the assumption that I'm not here? Bro, why do you not talk in chat anymore? Trevin used to talk in chat all the time, and now it's like, oh, he was talking earlier. He posted something 7 minutes ago. Okay, I missed it.
Gotcha.
I'm just not used to seeing blue names anymore. Right? Because, like, how many mods do we have? When was the last time Jackson was in here?
It was a couple streams ago.
Do our
He was
mods
in
actually
recently.
show up? I don't keep tabs on this. Should we evaluate some mod positions? No, just kidding.
Just keep adding.
Yeah, something like that. Accidentally add him like Taylor Packer, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. No, chat's been popping tonight, so appreciate you guys making chat active. It means a lot. Also, we hit 100 likes without me having to do a chat poll for it. Beautiful scenes today.
Good job, everyone.
Also, how many
That's
of
because
you...
we won, Tori. We're good again.
Yeah, look at what happens. We had a positive stream. And look at the numbers, man. I thought
Yeah, you're still negative.
I thought negativity pays, and that's why we have all the hot takes. Interesting.
Our little kid echo chamber.
I don't know if I'd say that out loud, but yeah. Yeah, all 0.6% of the people that are under 18 that watch the channel, because we can see these things. We can see the age breakdown. We can see the breakdown by country. It's always interesting to look at that stuff. But shout out to you for watching, wherever you are. Do mods just volunteer their free time to have power in chat? LOL. I mean, they participate in picks against the spread. They help us clean up chat. The thing is chat's been pretty chill this year. So they haven't had to do as much work. MGJJ says, I think Vancouver, Washington is a good tip. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Stay on the Vancouver waterfront.
Yeah, there you go. Vancouver waterfront's nice, man. They only started planning it 18 years ago and said it was going to be done like 12 years ago, and they're still building, but... Colt, those two aren't even bad compared to some of the stuff we've dealt with in the past, so... And the last one would be here if he would pay up the bet he made, but oh well.
Play Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Nice.
Isra Teague says Tory foreigners do know how to read Google info and understand that the whereabouts in different cities. I mean, did I say they didn't? I don't know. But some stuff might be hard to find off a Google search. I don't know. In terms of a couple of areas you want to avoid, that sort of thing.
Brady asked if we're excited about the round of 32 tomorrow.
Hopefully
No,
there will be better games than the first round, man.
the tourney sucks, man. It's been so boring. I hate the tourney. Screw that.
No, do not call in.
Trevin's on it.
Do not call in if you're giving your girlfriend a massage.
Trevin says December 23rd, Tori. It's been 3 months.
Dang, I actually wore one at one point this year. What hat was I wearing on the 23rd?
You've had some crazy hair days, too, and still didn't.
I don't care.
No,
I'm
I know.
embracing it. I
I'm
love
just
it.
saying, like you.
I love it. I'm just happy I still, have my hair. I don't know how long it's gonna last me. So.
Awesome job.
Whoops, played an ad. Oh, it was the freaking Santa hat.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. It was the Santa hat. Call in, you coward. All right, we're gonna end the stream in 5 minutes. How many of you listened to the radio spot yesterday that I did? It was a lot of fun to do. Shout out to Chris Burkhart. Shout out to him, man, for having me on. Because we have a reputation, Eric, and so I respect anyone that's willing to have me on radio. That was the first time I felt comfortable doing radio. I've called in before multiple times, and I never really felt comfortable. Always felt a little nervous, not gonna lie. That was the first time I felt comfortable, which was cool. Really cool experience. It was a lot more natural talking into a mic.
Yeah, it sounded good.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was cool. And then my girlfriend met me at the Buffalo because the studio's down in Tigard. She drove all the way down to Tualatin so that we could watch the rest of the games for March Madness. That's love right there, Eric.
Yeah. No.
All the way from Vancouver. She's a real...
Oh, the L word.
I mean, we live together, so...
I'm just kidding.
We live together, but that's... You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. Like, She got a table. She got a table for me waiting so we could watch basketball. She's in our bracket pool, and yeah.
That's awesome.
Just having fun with it, man. She likes watching hoops, so...
Yeah.
She's like, you got to wear something 90s because it's 90s night. So we got this plaid shirt. That's the story behind the plaid shirt. It's in honor of the 90s night tonight. She was the one who, for the retro night, got me the heart glasses. You know what I mean? She always wants me to do fun stuff on stream. So she cool.
I have to throw this in. I was able to play in my second rec league game of the entire season last night.
Yeah.
The championship game, and we won.
Wow, so you just came back because
home.
they made the championship. You're just a front runner.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You won? Championship?
We finally won the championship of the best league in the Hillsborough City League.
Are you playing with like a bunch of people that can dunk and like legit?
You're not supposed to dunk in that league, but
what?
Yeah.
That's a trash league, bro. What?
Yeah.
Why?
But because we play at elementary schools and they don't want the rims getting messed up.
Okay, say don't hang on the rim. Don't dunk. That's crazy. That's crazy.
You've never heard of this? Most of the leagues around here actually don't want you dunking.
Well, my league you can dunk in, Eric. So when we get you in my league, then you can go ahead and start dunking.
When's that start?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Off season. In between seasons just started, so we'll see. But
yeah, we got this big ass trophy. It's pretty.
Yeah, like we'll have a 6'5" dude that can dunk on people. We'll have another 6'4" dude that plays lockdown defense and hits threes. And then we'll have this 6-foot guard that's just like crazy pull up 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Runs good pick and rolls. Like we got a couple snipers. We'll have a solid team. But yeah, last game I played in that weekend league, that's pretty good, man. I probably had 50, and the rest of my team had like 12. And it's not because I was being unselfish. It was just I was on a free agent team. Team was a little rough. And, I was just hitting every three. I was like 8 for 10 from 3. It was wild. It was fun. This dude started talking trash to me though, and he had done nothing all game. And this is like second half after I've been going off on this team we're playing, and he was talking trash, and it was fun. It was fun. I basically told him, you don't want to talk trash to me. You haven't been doing anything all game. Why are you talking? And then I proceeded to hit a crossover pull-up three in his face and yell boom into his face. I wish I had a clip.
It was fun. If I join your team, we need to have some of the community come out and watch a game.
Yeah, there's really no stands because they play two courts side by side.
Yeah.
There's really only one row, but
Just
yeah, I mean,
standing room only, just pack the place.
yeah, just a bunch of random people. So cool. Tor said boom to his face, bro. I was already in a zone, and this dude was talking trash to me, and I shoot a really good percentage on FU threes. So like if you talk trash or you piss me off, I shoot a really good percentage on threes right after that. Like I'll pull it every time after that. So yeah, crossover hit in his face. He was talking trash. Like, gotta do something, you know? Gotta do something. So it was fun. It was fun. But yeah. No, it was like one of the best games I played in my life. It was wild.
Nice.
It was wild.
In sad news, my
Chiefin is about to yam on Tori. Yeah, if he ever shows up.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
If he ever shows up. What were you gonna say?
Just say sad news, my coaching of the 3rd and 4th grade girls basketball team has come to an end.
Why? Did you get too many technicals?
No, the season's over.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. To wait till next year to resume that.
Yeah. Alrighty. Appreciate you guys hanging out for the post-game show. We just hit midnight, so we're going to wrap it up. Anything else you want to get into, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a good weekend. Early game, 3 o'clock on Sunday, which means earlier post-game show. Hope to see you all there after. You all have a great weekend.
Yep. David wants to know your head coach record for your soccer team.
Oh, soccer? Well, my daughter joined a competitive team, and so I don't coach her anymore. But when I did coach her, I forgot how many games there were, but we were like 6-2 or something like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And then I don't know.
I'm from Israel, and I'm very sorry for Denny. He destroyed your tanking. No, it's good. It's good. That's funny. I've seen multiple comments like that. Sorry, Denny destroyed your tank. Yeah.
I mean,
pretty much.
If we wanted a tank, we wouldn't have.
Yeah, we could have started sending him
already.
a month ago. Yeah, we don't want it. This team doesn't want a tank, so. And then Trevin is our resident researcher for real, man. Dude's wild. Shout out to him. Shout out to all you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out here. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already, so that you can catch all our post-game shows, including our play-in post-game show in about a month. Less than a month. We got 11 games left on the season. Next post-game show will be Sunday. Going live at about, 5:30? That's another 3 p.m. Pacific time tip-off as the Blazers take on the vaunted Boston Celtics, who will be without Jaylen Brown. If you can win that game, that would be a really good win. And then you got the Cavs, who have lost like 4 in a row and now look all of a sudden mediocre. If the Suns can beat the Cavs at home, shouldn't the Blazers be able to if they're trying to catch the Suns? I don't know. But we'll have you covered every step along the way. Join our Discord. Like I said, link in description if you want to call in on the next call-in show. Also, you can chat with people in there, and you can keep track of our schedule in there. our content in there. We tag everybody when we post anything and all that good stuff. So make sure you join our Discord. Also, socials are linked in the description box below as well. We are out of here. We will catch you again on Sunday. Hopefully you enjoy your weekend. The Blazers win. They beat the Nuggets. Denny Avdia, 36 points. Almost a triple-double. Masterful performance in March. Can he keep it up? Is this a star being born? Looking forward to seeing more from him. And looking forward to seeing if the Blazers can be another good team. Even if they're missing their best players all the time. Anyway, we're out of here. Until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers!